Thursday, everybody.
Yep.
It's great to be here. Thanks you guys for joining in. We've got a great Thirsty Thursday kind of show or discussion to talk. Discussion, right?
Amongst all of us.
I've been talking to Travels with Delaney. They're in the chat room, so really appreciate everybody coming in. Really super great. Getting ready for this big cold front that's coming in. And what kind of beer is our Thirsty Thursday? What is it brought to you by today, Ariane?
Oh, do we do this before the show?
Yes, of course. Yeah. We have some survival beer.
So our beer, our highlighted beer is not just one beer, but it is a survival pack.
Right. So
a pack of 24.
So I got this because it said Survival IPA Survival Kit right there. And
you were cracking me up.
I saw that because we've had such a crazy week with the Airstream, everything else that's going on. I thought we needed a survival
kit.
So
you guys, a kit of beer.
Talks amongst yourselves in the chat room. Ask us questions. Let's have a good time. We're ready for our Thirsty Thursday live show.
Very cool. Hey, could have done it multiple. Can you get that on this screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can get that on that screen. And
perfect. So that I can actually read comments.
That's right. Right. Let me get that. Oh, here we go. Woo! Travels with Delaney. Forecast of a couple inches of snow up here. Fires up some panic. So yeah, Atlanta is supposed to get. We're supposed to get freezing temps. Everybody's running around buying milk and bread off the shelves, and it's storming out right now as we talk, as we're doing our broadcast right now. And then tonight, I guess when we wake up tomorrow morning, it's going to be in the high 30s, and then Tuesday it's supposed to get down to 32 degrees at night. So it's going to be a little chilly.
Well, look, I am so looking forward to the colder weather because we got a little splurge of cold weather, and I personally enjoy it. And so then it went away, and the illusion of cold weather remained. But then you get out there and it's just warm, and it warms up so fast, and I'd rather just be cold or warm.
Yeah.
One of the two. Well, actually, I'd prefer it to be chillier.
I'd rather it to be a nice 72 degrees all year round. Maybe lows get down to 63, somewhere around there. But so tonight we're drinking Terrapin, obviously. And our survival beer for tonight is Terrapin. And I am drinking a recreational ale from Terrapin.
And I'm just going all the way, and I'm going Hopsecutioner. Does anybody know? People should know this beer, Terrapin Hopsecutioner. It's a very popular beer, at least in my world. This is my go-to. This is my go-to. So, cheers to you guys, Thirsty Thursday.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers
to everybody. So, hi, Jonathan Lewis.
Hey, Jonathan. Hey, no snow
very
down
cool.
here yet.
And then Travels with Delaney. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining in and chatting.
Yeah, that's crazy. If it gets down to snow in Florida, we're gonna have to change our plans for the Tampa RV show. I hope it doesn't get. I hope you don't get snow down there, Jonathan. That'd be terrible. But yeah, Atlanta's supposed to get. It's supposed to be pretty cold.
Does it ever snow in Florida?
I think, Jonathan, it snows in Florida every once in a while, for sure. Yeah. So our question is, we're talking about this cold. We're talking about, this frigid weather, the polar vortex. coming
32,
down,
frigid.
and for Atlanta, that's really cold. So we'd like to know if you guys are coming in, and for people that are watching the replay, we'd like to know this. So we've gone completely non-conventional in our Airstream Argosy with heat. I know a lot of people use propane heat. I get it, understand it, but we went with a wood burning stove. And so I guess our question is, what kind of propane heater are you using? What kind of, like, what's the size of your trailer? Does it work? Do you feel like you get a lot of condensation, you know, in the morning time after the propane heater's been going on all day? We did a video on the Cubic Mini Grizzly. It's a wood burning stove that we put in the Argosy. And last year I got that thing up to about 65, 66 degrees when it was about 32 at night. Now I had to get up every hour and stoke the fire, but that's going to be Ariane's job. But we're looking for
That's a whole nother topic altogether.
We're looking for a little bit of, you know, maybe some tips on, you know, keeping your RV warm when it gets down to this cold, because a lot of things can go wrong when it gets down below freezing at night. And I know up in northern Georgia mountains, it's going to be well below freezing for sure. So that's kind of like our ongoing discussion as far as survival Thirsty Thursday goes. We got the survival beer, so we're good there. We're good. All we have to do is figure out how to stay warm.
Stay warm. Well, so the stove is working for us. So Jonathan complimented that video. So thank you. And no, not so worried about ash.
That's a great question.
It is a really, really valid question. We haven't burnt it enough to really combat the ash issue, I would say. So I think the verdict still is out on that. But so far, it has been burning it enough for us to be able to pull out the ash effectively. Now, this is a very small stove.
Only weighs 35 pounds.
So, you know, it's relatively small, and there's not a lot of buildup before you can really like deal with the buildup inside of it. And so it's a very good question. I'd be interested to see what happens this winter, because we were going to be in it a lot more.
Well, I was in it a lot last winter, and I made a lot of toasty fires in there. It's, you know, Jonathan, to be honest with you, the ash isn't really that much of a problem unless you have the door open. Now, if Ariane is walking in the door exactly at the moment I'm trying to clean the ash out of the wood burning stove, which I assume is going to happen, then yes. That could be an ash problem. However,
right,
the bigger problem is
no in and out.
Right. The biggest problem is the creosote that forms on the upper half of the 3-inch flue. So at that point, I would imagine about once a month, I will have to take a cordless drill with a flue cleaner, flue brush, and probably like drill into the flue to clean all that creosote. Now, I think that will be much more of a mess with all that creosote falling down then into the wood burning stove. So we'll see what happens with that. That's a great question though. Travels with Delaney. Our new camp 400 has the 8 radiant heating system in it, so it can be ran on either the shore power or propane. When you say radiant heat, is that in the floor? That seems like that would be very cool if it's radiant heat from the floor, because heat rises, and that would be really cool. Let us know if that's what you guys are talking about with the radiant heat. That would be really cool. So I know a lot of people use the traditional propane, you know, like the propane heater.
The buddy, what is that?
Well, that's for smaller ones. I know, like,
so we've used that in our van a couple times.
Yeah,
not a huge fan of it, but it works.
With 2 dogs, I'm constantly worried about them knocking that thing over.
I know.
But it did work last year in our Southwest trip in January. We used it. There was one night in Nevada that we froze. It got down to freezing. It got down around below 30s, and
Yeah.
I was bundled up like at 8 o'clock at night. I was freezing. Um, the Airstream's a little bit bigger, so you're gonna have a little bit more heat. You're gonna have a little bit more radiant heat,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get that fan. It's that fan that works off of heat energy, and then blows heat in a direction, and it fits right on our wood burning stove. So I'm kind of hoping that is going to keep us warm, also, other than our
Right.
Terrapin Survival beer kit. So I'm hoping that's going to work.
Beer
also
does not keep you warm.
So
It is a big myth.
So while we're talking about the propane heat and the wood burning stove, I also did a video on the difference between propane and the wood burning stove, and I found out that the humidity is much more higher with the propane. So I did see a big difference in humidity. The propane stove, or the buddy that I used, and we have about 180 square foot Airstream. So even the heat buddy definitely raised the temperature about 7 degrees warmer, but I saw a drastic increase in humidity compared to the wood burning stove that had little to zero humidity effect whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. But again, Ariane is going to have to stoke the fire.
Let's talk
every
about
hour.
that for a second, because I don't like this concept. I think we should share. So
Hey, Randy's here. Hi, everyone. Hey, Randy.
it's probably a really good argument for going to propane. I think it should be the man's job to get up and keep the fire going.
Well, if I get the fire going, I think there should be a trade-off for sure. Randy,
I don't care.
Randy from Randy's Adventure, she knows all about winter camping because she pulls her little guy Max right in the snow. I mean, she's in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
If anybody knows about winter camping in an RV, it's going to be Randy. So Randy, we're talking about wood burning stove, and we're talking about propane, and we have the wood burning stove in our Airstream, and we're just kind of going back and forth since Atlanta is going to get down to 32 degrees out, and everybody is panicking in the city, buying milk and bread this week. So we're just kind of wondering what everybody uses to heat their RV, and how do they stay warm in their camper when it gets to be freezing.
Yeah.
Other than the survival Terrapin.
I can tell you what I do is I double up in a sleeping bag. So right now, I have been sleeping in a sleeping bag. I've been using it as a blanket, but still it's that extra layer. It's just my body isn't quite accustomed to the chill. Not that it's even really cold, but that's my go-to.
So Jonathan asked a really good question too.
About carbon monoxide.
Yeah. So Jonathan says, what are your thoughts on carbon monoxide with your setup and venting for that? So that's another excellent question. Mm-hmm. So we've got two detectors. We've got a carbon monoxide detector that's in the kitchen area, that's right across from the wood burning stove. But we also have an LP propane detector. So we have that inside the Airstream too. So if we have a leak at any kind of a propane line, we have that, and then we've got the carbon monoxide detector. The biggest thing about these cubic mini stoves, Jonathan, is that they need proper airflow with negative pressure and positive pressure. And so you want to crack possibly maybe even our Airstream kitchen window is literally right across from our wood burning stove. So what we'll do is and this is what I did last winter, I would crack that open a little bit, let that air suck in, because the process of this particular wood burning stove is it's sucking in air to push the smoke and fire up. And so if you can crack a little window, which kind of defeats the purpose of trying to stay warm when it's like super freezing cold, but the payoff is you don't die, and you can get. I still got the Airstream up to about 65 degrees.
It's good enough. It takes a lot more effort and work, but I would say overall it's probably more minimal cost than the propane that you're using. but there's still a cost factor involved because you do have to have the proper, type a wood to burn. So
Right.
there's still a cost payoff in there. I definitely enjoy it. I'm enjoying it a lot, but
So Randy says that we use a milk house heater, so no propane used when hooked up to electric hookups. Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah, and was that Randy? Is that a ceramic type heater? I would imagine. I'm not sure, but yeah, we've got an electric blanket. Well, if we're going to be on shore power, we're going to use the electric blanket for sure.
and the 2 dogs.
And the 2 dogs.
And the dude.
And the minus 15 degree sleeping bag
So-
that Ariane uses that she hoards when it gets cold. So I
I
think
do.
with our backpacking gear and our sleeping bags, I don't ever really see that much of a problem. Heck, we go backpacking when it gets down to 32 degrees.
Yeah,
But for
it's,
some reason,
it's
when you're
easier.
inside, it feels worse.
I can tolerate freezing temperatures outdoors far better than I can when I'm indoors because there's this like mental block that I'm indoors. I should be warm.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I love that everyone's complimenting each other on previous videos. So
Yeah.
that's really
right.
cool.
I watched
cool.
Randy's today. I watched Russ and Carrie's. Watched Travel with Delaney. I was trying to catch up on all my YouTube videos today, and
Because we've had a very, very busy week.
it's
and
been a real busy week.
It's been a little hectic around this joint.
So real quickly, I will catch you up on the Argosy adventures, and this is another reason why we picked the Terrapin Survival Kit IPA
For those of you
beer.
coming in,
Yeah.
it's an entire kit.
It's an hour
Survival
kit, IPA Survival Kit,
Survival kit.
and
This is ridiculous.
so we thought with the winter cold coming in and our week, we would get that. I almost spilled it all over the place. So the Argosy, I started hooking up. We're done with the Argosy renovation. We got 2 things
Not
to hook
quite.
up. We've got the
Close.
solar panels to actually mount on the Argosy. All the wiring is done, and then I put the solar cap on top of the Argosy this week and really got that on there. So that's secure. We finally don't have to put a tarp over the Argosy anymore.
Hallelujah.
So that was kind of a big win.
It's a huge win.
So and I started measuring the solar panels. We already have a couple, so I was able to place those and see how they're going to fit.
Mhm.
And then I did mount the wood burning stove to the countertop, which was important,
Yeah.
so it doesn't tip over when we pull it.
And ash go everywhere.
That
Would be a problem for us.
Right.
That is when we should be
You
worried
guys ever
about
have
the
ash go all over the place? Yeah, we didn't bolt down the stove.
We just let it tumble and roll.
Right. What's that noise back there?
Oh my god.
Oh man, thank you, Travels with Delaney. Guys, thank you so much,
Oh.
man. Really appreciate
Have
that.
another beer on us. Is
Yeah.
this because he almost tipped the beer?
Probably. Right.
Cheers. Travel
Thank
with
you guys so
Delaney.
much. Yeah,
thank
thank you
you
guys so
very
much.
much for doing
Absolutely.
that. Oh
Really
man.
appreciate that.
So Randy's adventures saw 2
Airstreams
Airstreams.
this past week.
How would I know if it was an Argosy? So
That's a great question.
I love that question.
That's a
So
great question.
Argosys were a new line of Airstreams that they rolled out. And Scott can go into a bit more detail, but it was made of lighter weight material. So it was this whole push towards lightweight trailers. And so they wanted to make the Airstream even lighter weight. And in doing so, they had to use a little bit different scrap metal. Maybe I'm not saying that correctly, but essentially piecing together more metal pieces using different metal than the Airstreams were made of in general. And by doing that, it was the only one that was paintable.
Right, that's what Jonathan
Am I saying
said.
that?
Yep.
Oh, see, he's already on it. I love
Jonathan,
it.
would most likely be painted.
Yes.
In fact, it will be
So-
painted. The Argosy is the only Airstream that you can paint. In fact, in some early Argosys,
Mhm.
they used recycled aluminum
Right.
from old World War II aircraft. And so sometimes no 2 pieces of aluminum were exactly the same. So yeah, Jonathan, you're exactly right. And we painted ours a week and a half ago. And so ours is 80% painted.
I was gonna say, when are you gonna come clean about that?
And
Yeah.
that's why I could put the solar stuff on, because we've had the solar for a while, but we We haven't been able to put it on top because we've been waiting to get the final coat of paint on it.
Yes,
and
80% painted.
It looks very shiny. It looks very good.
We're very excited about the 80%. We're waiting on the 20. We've had nothing but rain. I'm saving some days off to be able to use when we have a few good days to be able to paint the remaining 20%. But yes, the Argosys are painted Airstream. So very, very likely if you see a painted Airstream, it is going to be an Argosy, because nobody is really painting actual
chrome.
Correct.
Right.
Because it has a look all to its own that is, highly coveted. But we were really drawn to the Argosy in general because we kind of fell in love with the design of it. The double window in the front and the back, and we were just really, really excited about the design and the look of it and what we can do to like personalize it a little bit more on the outside as well. So
yeah,
guys nailed it. Yeah.
So Travel with Delaney said driving and vibing renovated an Argosy this past year too. We know that because we were the ones who first told them to buy an Argosy. Now I don't know if Kyle would now thank me for that or curse me.
Probably a
but
mix of the
early
both.
on in the renovation process, we had a friend who had a condo literally right across from where they live, and we offered many times to go down there and help them. But for whatever reason, they did it themselves, or they got some other people. But yeah, we sent them some books, we sent them some stuff, and they had a lot of help. I wish I would have had the time to help the corporate sponsors that they had, because 2 years into this renovation process, we're tired. I mean, we're exhausted on this thing.
Scott's motto on the Airstream has been like, I need help. And I'll be like, I'll help you. I'm free this week. And he goes, I need help with what they know what they're doing. Well, I need professional help.
So Jonathan says, I have a 28 Argosy, drove it home 900 miles earlier this year. Jonathan, you must have been
exciting.
Right by us, because we drove it, our first trip, we drove it about 600 in the condition we bought it from. So that's awesome. So Jonathan, is yours rear bath or center bath? I'd love to know that. And Randy says, when you say painted, you mean the outside? Yes. It is painted on the outside
and on the inside.
And on the inside,
of course.
And the cool thing, Randy, about the Argosy is that you could paint it anything you want. There is no rule at all on how to paint the Argosy, as far as you could put logos on it. You could do anything. I've seen murals on it. I mean, any kind of paint you want to paint, you can paint it, as long as you understand that aluminum is the hardest metal for paint to stick on. So it might look good the first week you drive it, but a year later, depending on the prep work, that paint could all be chipping off. So, and that's the kind of like the I guess the challenge with the Argosy is really making sure you prep that aluminum the way you're supposed to, and you get the right kind of paint, and that can cost anywhere from $500 to $3,000 to $4,000 depending on what kind of paint you use.
So Jonathan, where are you in the process? Are you renovating? Are you keeping it as is? What are you doing to it, and where are you at in that process? Because I know for us, it's taken a lot longer than we had ever anticipated it taking. Obviously, a lot more cost involved. Very ignorant when we went in, but I have to say we know a lot now.
I would say we didn't renovate the Airstream; we rebuilt the Airstream. So,
that's true. That's true.
In a lot of ways, it's just not renov. When I think of remodel, I think of people coming in and remodeling your bathroom, or adding like a little extra room to your house, but with the Airstream, it would be like a whole crew of custom home builders coming into your house and say, we're going to build you a brand new home, but we're going to make it look like your old home. Like, what? So I think that's kind of what it's been like.
Travels with Delaney said, paint it with chalkboard paint and then let people write messages.
That's actually a great idea.
That's really good. So that is actually our idea for the inside door panel, but we've been kind of questioning whether or not we go with ink marker, like paint marker, or chalk, because it's exposed to the element.
That's an awesome
but
idea.
Campground to campground.
That's really a great idea.
Until let's see what kind of graffiti we can get involved in it. But
I think that's a great idea. So we could trade. So I would agree to stoke the fire if Ariane would agree to go out and just use the eraser board and erase the whole 28-foot Argosy once a month. I think that's a great trade-off.
Really good idea. Except I would imagine that the weather would probably be a component with that. But I'd like to see somebody do that.
Then you'd have the teenage kids writing graffiti on your Argosy.
Well, they could just spray paint it.
They could, right. That's true.
This is going down a rabbit hole I don't want.
Oh, that is hilarious.
But Jonathan has a center bath, which is very cool. We actually kept to the center bath rather than pushing it to the back, as in the original design. But we made the bath even smaller.
Yeah, a little bit,
ever
smaller.
So slightly, just enough for a little nook for ourselves in the bedroom. So
I think the slow process with the Argosy renovation was that we were hell bent in saving all of the original parts of the Argosy, and we worked really hard. And the bathtub or the shower pan was one of them. That shower pan, when I finally got around to looking at it, was cracked. It was dirty. It was filthy. And if you would have told me I would have been able to get that to where it looked brand new, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But that was our goal. We wanted to keep a lot of the original Argosy parts that made the Argosy so cool, but yet really completely redesign it in a way that fit our lifestyle and modernize it, but then keeping it very like antique-ish and very modern, but original. And so that took a lot of time to do.
And a lot of our original designs never even came to fruition because the reality of it wasn't as practical as the thought of it. And as we continued to build, we started to learn conceptually and practicality are two very different things.
Right.
So, but I'm excited. Jonathan is got a lot of work to do. You're in Florida. We're gonna be down there in January. Let us know if you need help.
Yeah.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
To get to help out somebody else. It's not our own. I'm over our own.
Yeah, right.
I'm over it.
I'm probably all into helping you with your Argosy project.
But one too many years on ours.
I need a 5-year break at least until I really get deep into another renovation. Now I say that, but you never know what happens.
I don't know. You get the bug. I think you get the bug after a while. Once you've been doing something, we've been so active hands-on with it, it's going to feel a little weird to function in it and not have to work on it. Although, I'm not counting on not having to work on it. We're not really sure what we build is going to.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see how it holds up on the road.
I imagine there's going to be a lot of repair the first 6 months on the road. Things that we thought were going to work, won't work. By watching you guys, we've learned that a lot of things go wrong. I mean,
we're okay with it.
But we're okay. If we can handle backpacking and stuff like that, we can handle fixing our Airstream on the road. So I think we'll be okay with that. So but we're really kind of in the final gigs, and other than the propane lines and the solar, it's painted, it's ready to go.
20% more to go.
I think our next big ticket item then will be our hitch, and so we're looking at a couple different hitches. We'll probably go to a Reese hitch, possibly, and then we're we're done. That'll be it. So we'll definitely be at the Tampa RV show in January. That's a 100% sure gig. And then we're going to go and play in Florida on a well-deserved vacation. Not vacation, well-deserved starting our nomadic life, I guess. I know everyone
Anything
says don't
but
be
a vacation,
right,
I know.
Right.
Well, I'm excited for you, Jonathan. It sounds like you're going to go with the basic floor plan. But
Jonathan said I really like the basic floor plan.
Yeah, I mean, it was built for a reason one way. It's good. We got our 2 dogs over here going, let me out. It's done raining. They are.
It's much like our podcast when we do our podcast. When we record our podcast, our dogs seem like that's playtime and they want to play and bark. And Dino does like a Chewbacca impression. So they start playing on the floor and starts lapping up the water in their water dish. So
once we did a podcast about our 2 dogs, and that was one of the it was a well-received podcast. People loved it, but it was one of the worst ones to attempt to record because every time we would say their name, they would jump up off the bed and run over to us.
Right. I can't imagine it being 180 square foot. I mean, our place is small. We live in a very tiny place. I don't know if it's that much bigger than the Airstream, but there's more. I have more doors I can close here, and put them in there until we're done with our podcast, or put a barrier so they can't jump out of bed. But now with the Airstream, we're gonna. And of course, every time they jump off the bed, the whole Airstream shakes violently.
Be interesting to see how that goes. So, Edward, hi, by the way.
Hey, Edward.
That's very cool. I'm glad you discovered us.
Oh, that's awesome, Edward.
Hello to you.
Yep, cool.
Yeah. So by the time you catch up to now 130, episode 130, see if that changes a little bit.
I think we had the RSS. I think we had the feed problem at episode 67. So whatever podcatcher you use, if our podcast ends at 67, no, there's a whole nother 60 left, and just go to Spotify or someplace else. But we have a feed problem at I think it was episode 67, I think. And so some of the podcatchers never picked up our feed. So, but thank you for listening. Really, really super appreciate that. This is much like our podcast, by the way. Really not that much different. Randy says that's so exciting for you guys to be out and getting out there. Yeah, we're pretty excited. It's getting
we're getting closer and closer every single day. Yeah. It's very interesting when you, and how many of you I know can relate, but there's this sense of, it's been a plan for so long. It's that the nervousness starts to kick in, and the reality starts to kick in, and we're not even like full time yet. But I think the more nervous I get, I think that's a good sign. I think that means that I'm getting ready. Like I'm actually getting ready. Like I actually have emotions about it. So we're one step closer. So.
Yeah, I think the biggest fear that, and it's like a recurring nightmare, really. I think the biggest fear I have is that the Airstream will be done, we'll be hitched up, we're ready to go. We have kind of a plan of where we're going to go, and I'll get in the van and turn the key, and nothing will work. I think that's the biggest.
Right.
My biggest fear is like nothing will work. But it will, and I know it will, and I'm still pretty excited to get out there. So, so anyway, what do you think? Survival week.
Survival week. At one point this week, I was over it. It's been a long week. It's been a long week, and I came home and I said I quit on this week. I quit, and Scott heard I quit this week.
Looks like we're going early.
And In reality, I was just phrasing that I'm done with this week. I used the wrong terminology. It shocked them. But it's kind of how we felt about this week, but it's taken a huge turnaround today with getting to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even tell you how grateful we are that you guys spend your Thursday evenings with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We really means a lot to us. It really does.
Yeah, we're very grateful for the community, and we hope to keep building it and get to know each of you, and for you guys get to know us a little bit differently, and to just kind of build a community together. And it's been a lot of fun. And
but next Thursday on Thursday, we are actually going to extend our YouTube Thursday community. We're going to invite you someplace right after if you guys are going to be in and around the RV or Tampa RV show. If you're in Georgia, anywhere in the Southeast, we're going to invite you guys out someplace to come out with us, and that's next Thursday, next Thursday, on our show. We're putting that together right now, so we would love for you guys. The one thing about Ariane and I is that we're really open people. I mean, we love meeting people. We invite everybody everywhere, and that's kind of how we do it on our podcast. And we've met some great people through our podcast, and we met some great people with the small YouTube summit that Travels with Delaney and Randy's Adventures put on. I just love those guys, Russ and Carrie. I mean, just some great people. And so we're always open. You guys always are invited anywhere that we go. You guys are more than welcome to come out with us. So so here's to cheers Thursday,
and a special cheers to you, Travels with Delaney. Thank you very much.
Yep. And stay warm this week. Everyone get their propane heaters going. We'll have our wood burning stove going. We'll let you guys know how that went next Thursday, and we'll see how warm we can get with the Airstream when it gets down that cold. Be a good test.
And Randy, yes, if the struggle wasn't real, it wouldn't be an adventure. So
yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
All right, you guys. We'll see you later.
Bye, you guys.
Bye. Have a great week.